had failed, police and other state security agencies had to come in. At about 11 a.m., same Sunday, 18th May 2025, this information was communicated to the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the National Intelligence Service, and the Director of Criminal Investigations by the CS Interior Kipchumba Murkomen, and consequently, a killer squad composed of 101 lethal and dreaded officers from the administration police and seconded to the National Intelligence Service, accompanied by officers from the DCI, the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit, the General Service Unit, and the regular police were deployed. This killer squad have been carrying out extrajudicial killings and abductions. Yesterday, they were mobilized and cordoned off and blocked all exits from Gatanga constituency. This squad was armed to the teeth and hooded and with masks to conceal their identity because of the heinous acts they wanted to commit on us. This is despite that there are existing guidelines from the High Court that officers should be in uniform and not conceal their identity. At about 2:30 p.m., we received further intelligence from the deployed patriotic officers who are not in agreement with the information that they had clear instructions to plant arms and weapons in our convoy to provide evidence to arrest us and get evidence that they could charge us with in court. After about 30 minutes, the killer squad was joined by their counterparts who are highly trained in the use of biological weapons. Their instructions were to poison me through inhaled chemicals that would paralyze my brain within 3 months. This was the intent and the purpose of the whole operation. My team and I sought alternative routes as guided by the deployed security personnel, majority of whom are our supporters and opposed to what is going on. We have credible information that President Ruto has directed that my private security personnel be disarmed and be targeted for withdrawal of their licenses so that they can leave me vulnerable to allow room for goons to attack and possibly eliminate me.
He at the same time launched a scathing attack on Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, accusing him of insincerity over recent remarks vowing to crack down on political violence in Kenya. Speaking during a press conference amid speculation of his impending arrest, Gachagua claimed that he has been the target of orchestrated violence since November 2024, allegedly with the state complicity. He said despite suffering attacks of great magnitude alongside his family and supporters, the government has failed to take any action against the perpetrators.
I've heard the CS Interior and other pretenders to the throne claim that they will not allow political violence. I urge them to walk the talk. Since November 2024, political violence of great magnitude has been meted on me, my family, and my supporters. Not a single case has been prosecuted. For instance, on 28th November 2024, at a solemn funeral service in Limuru, Kiambu County, I was attacked by organized criminal gangs and a police escort. On 28th December 2024 in Shamata, Nyandarua, an inspector of police flanked by criminal gangs threw tear gas canisters at me. On 23rd March 2025 at ACK St. Peter's Cathedral in Nyeri, my convoy was attacked at a church compound by a known criminal gang and a police escort. On 29th March 2025 in Naivasha town, we were attacked by the police. On 6th April 2025, at a church service in Mwiki, PCA, hooded goons attacked us inside the church. We dismiss with contempt the loose talk by CS Interior that during the DCP party unveiling, where goons dared to cause chaos were fighting for handouts from us. These were state-sponsored, but fortunately, they were overpowered by security personnel and supporters. The CS has given instructions that instead of arresting the said goons, they disarm my security personnel to give goons free access to me and my supporters in future occasions. Let it be known that our party, DCP, has organic support, and we do not pay supporters to attend our meetings the way the government is doing to people to attend their meetings. Finally, let me assure the planners of this violence that you will not stop the cause of the people of Kenya. The one-term movement and the DCP party popularity will not be stopped and will not be slowed down.
And one of the things that also happened yesterday is that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the EACC, arrested Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya over alleged embezzlement of county funds. According to Natembeya's lawyer, Ndegwa Njiri, the governor was presented at the EACC headquarters in Nairobi in the morning for a statement recording. He, however, notes that his legal team has been denied access to the governor, who will remain under detention until further notice. The commission says it's investigating allegation of procurement irregularities, abuse of office and bribery. EACC says the arrest is linked to fraudulent accusation of 1.4 billion shillings. The alleged irregularities are believed to have occurred in the 2022-2023 and 2024-2025 financial years.
It's like a duck. Swims like a duck, then it is a duck. This one is political persecution. It is not fight against corruption. And when this regime took over and they pretended to be having a bottom-up approach, kumbe it was a bottom-up fighting young people, very small fish, small people. Natembeya, he cannot harm anybody. He cannot harm a fly. The matters of corruption, it starts with the highest office on the land. It cannot go that you fight corruption in piecemeal that will pick up people depending on which side of political divide they are.
Proper charges have been brought before the lawyers have been told why our client has been brought here. You find EACC circulating on social media accusations, trying to create the perception that governor is corrupt, trying to create the perception that there's been looting in Trans Nzoia. That is totally unprofessional, and it's prejudicial to the case of Governor Natembeya.
Now, this arrest had caused drama after the EACC and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations raided Trans Nzoia Governor Natembeya's Milimani home in Kitale. There were residents protested, vandalized, deflated EACC vehicles, and they caused a lot of damage in our place, prompting police to disperse them. The raid came a day after several opposition leaders said they were aware of plans to arrest Natembeya, who has been a top critic of the government, which may seem motive behind the raid.
Gavana wetu George Natembeya ako sawa. Yeye ako Nairobi, na mimi nikitoka hapa tuko tunaenda kuwa na yeye kule Nairobi.
Asante.
Wametuma askari hapa kwake. Wamefanya raid asubuhi ya leo. Yes. Lakini leo tumekuwa hapa na mawakili na viongozi MCAs wote, na ile search imeonyesha ya kwamba hakuna chochote kimepatikana kwa gavana. Walikuwa wanatafuta pesa, hakuna pesa imepatikana hapa. Walisema eti gavana sijui ameiba pesa iko chini ya kitanda, hakuna pesa chini ya kitanda. Na leo tuwasema hii kwa Bwana Zakayo, Bwana Kasongo, ya kwamba wewe upende usipende, wewe ni one term. You use the police or not, hata utumie jeshi, wewe ni one term. Tunakupeleka nyumbani.
Hakuna siku ambayo utatisha Waluhya, hakuna siku ambayo utatisha Natembeya.
Tutaamua kama ni kukufa kupona, lazima tu protect governor. Na Alan Chesang, utajua mahali penye utakuwa una land. Ukianza hii mchezo yenye unaanza na kudili na sisi, ukiguza Natembeya umeguza Mluhya, ukiguza Natembeya umeguza mtu wa Trans Nzoia. Sasa maneno yako chuma chako chimotoni.
Sisi tulidanganywa na Wetangula tukakupigia kura kama jamii ya Waluhya. Raundi hii ikiwepo unakuja na hii tabia ya kutuma hao watu waje wanyanyase Natembeya, my friend, sahau kura ya jamii ya Waluya.
Hakuna mahali gavana anaenda. Tunasema hakuna mahali gavana wetu anaenda. Tumeamua, tumejua wameingia kuna pesa, wanataka kusema gavana alipiga pesa. Hakuna pesa gavana amepiga. Kama ni mbaya acha ikuwe mbaya.
Yule ataguza mheshimiwa gavana na tembea. Sisi tunaenda kupambana na wewe. Kama ni mheshimiwa Rais Kasongo, Trans Nzoia sisi tumekuwa watu wa upinzani na hatuogopi kabisa.
Sababu kitu ambaye wewe ulikuwa unasema ya kwamba anatembea, anafanya uchochezi, anafanya mambo ya ukabila. Sio ukabila. Kama anatembea akisema kwamba Waluya wapige kura pamoja, hiyo sio ukabila.
You know the strangest thing, Natembeya was in Nairobi when all these things were happening. I mean, these guys would have easily, I believe the intelligence would have told him that he was in Nairobi, right? Anyway, tensions flared outside the Tanzanian consulate in Mombasa as human rights activists staged a protest demanding the immediate and unconditional release of 3 detained Kenyan nationals, including former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga. The trio, Mutunga, Hussein Khalid, and Hanifa Aden, are reportedly being held at the Julius Nyerere International Airport in Dar es Salaam. The arrest comes just a day after prominent Kenyan lawyer and opposition leader Martha Karua, along 2 associates, was deported from Tanzania under controversial circumstances. The detained Kenyans were part of a civil society mission to observe judicial proceedings involving Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu, raising concerns about regional cooperation and the state of democracy in Tanzania.
Tumekuja manake wenzetu tumepata habari wamekuwa detained in Tanzania. Hussein Khalid ambaye yuko kule amedeteniwa, na vile vile Willy Mutunga, Hanifa na Boniface Mwangi jana wamestorm hoteli yake kuharakisha. Matakaru washarudi, kina Antonani ile Irungu washarudi, na sisi tumekuja hapa kusik audience nao wametufukuza. Tutaka kujua kwa nini Watanzania wanatuzuia kusik audience nao, Wakenya wanazuiwa na regeshwa, na sisi ni watu wa kupenda amani. Tunamwambia Mama Suluhu ambao ni rais wao, hatuogopi lolote. East Africa sisi kama ndugu tunataka tuishi na amani, sio kuharakisha na kuleta harassment na impunity kwa nchi yake, hiyo ni yake. Lakini Wakenya wakienda pale sisi tutaingia, manake tuna believe in the spirit of East African community. Sisi tunasema kuwa Suluhu lazima change, demokrasia lazima ibadilishwe.
Miaka nenda miaka rudi tumekuwa tukiishi kwa amani kama jumuiya ya mashirika ya Afrika, na tukijua fika kwamba sisi kama na Tanzania ni kama sisi vile vile pia Uganda. Lakini kinachotughadhabisha ni kwamba hivi sasa ameingia mtu ambaye kwamba hatambui undugu, umoja wala amani katika hili jumuiya. Na Mama Suluhu, tunataka kuambia kuwa umetuaibisha. Pale ulipochukua mamlaka tulikuwa tunajivunia sisi kama wanawake, tukisema sasa nchi ya Tanzania itaendeshwa kwa miondoko ya kisawasawa. Lakini hadi hivi sasa tumeona ndo kumekathiri ukiukaji wa haki za kibinadamu, mauaji ya kiholela, watu kupotezwa kimabavu, na hivi sasa Wakenya kukatazwa kuingia katika nchi jirani.
Najipata hapa kwa sababu pengine kuna ile agitation kwamba Watanzania wanataka reforms, haswa za election. Sisi wa Kenya tumepitia reforms mingi na hatujaumia mahali popote.
Yesterday was a day full of drama as Mumias East Member of Parliament Peter Salasia was freed on a cash bail of 200,000 in a hate speech case. Appearing at the Milimani Law Courts, Salasia defense team argued that the legislator was arrested in a barbaric manner, and they were also denied access to their client. He also asked for the reinstatement of Salasia's bodyguards to guarantee his security. Outside the courtroom, Echesa censured the use of security forces to tame constructive criticism.
We have already raised issues with the issue of personal bond and invited this court to balance all the interests. Since the bond terms are not opposed, I'm minded to grant the accused person bond as follows. Is admitted to a surety bond of Kenya shillings 500,000 in the alternative cash bail of 200,000. There are two other issues which has been raised. The first one is about violation of accused rights in the course of arrests, as well as another application to have arms assigned to the accused security details returned. I will reserve my ruling on that two aspects, and I will deliver the ruling on the 4th of June.
If they are government officers, there must be a procedure of arresting an officer who is also guarded by other officers, because it can turn to be dangerous. Like maybe you are thinking that these are genuine, maybe they are not police, or it can be turned into something else. So when we assumed it, then they came on that particular day, on Friday, and they decided to shoot our car. And I think that was, it could have turned into something else. It is only by the grace of God that we are alive today.
His relatives and staff were denied access, but this morning, after pressure from all places, including the riots by the constituents of Mumias East, which riots took about 5 hours yesterday, and the headquarters called Shanda came to a standstill, the state decided to produce him before court today on what we will term as very defective and far-fetched charges.
What will the public say? Mind you, this is a sitting member of parliament who was arrested under such circumstance. It's not a sheer coincidence that we are living in a place whereby we are dealing with state capture. It's very, very trivial, and it's very, very important that we have to stay steadfast, because any person can easily experience the same thing. And it may not seem as serious as it may be, but the Honorable Member of Parliament indeed endures a bit of some trauma from that experience.
All right, let's now take a look at the newspapers. We start off with The Nation. Ruto critics face police crackdown. Opposition leaders accuse government on strong arm tactics to silence rebels. A day of chaos in Kitale during a raid by anti-graft agency detectives on the home of Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya adds to rising cases of President William Ruto's administration's opponents who are feeling the heat of the heavy state machinery. But government has rejected accusation of political witch hunt. You have George Natembeya, you have Gideon Moi, you have Peter Salasya, and Rigiji. And you know, the strangest thing is that the more they press and, tighten the noose on these guys, the more the opposition is getting stronger and stronger. And then the second page, we have the fate of 25,000 promoted teachers to be decided today. The commission was accused of failing to factor population size and staffing disparities in conducting the promotions. And then there's a court blocks parliament from vetting Ruto's IEBC nominees. Okay, so that simply means that it's going to take a little longer. Now, I remember, I think it was on Sunday and Monday, I told you there's a story that was going to come, a story where a priest who had hosted former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua around 2 weeks ago in Nyandarua was murdered in very suspicious things. And the story is there. A Catholic priest who hosted Gachagua found murdered. Quite a number of things coming up. Detectives have launched investigation even as they await post-mortem of the body. The Catholic priest might have been killed elsewhere before the body was dumped at the scene. Now, they say there's a border operator. This story is close to me because I happen to know this family. There was a border operator. The priest had actually complained earlier. Immediately after the function, he started noticing there were people who were trailing him. And then at one time, they say that he expressed fear. And he had told the deputy bishop of the area, I don't know whether he had gone to the police, but he had said there are some people who are trailing him. Then later on the day he was murdered, he was dumped at this Kikope place, and a border rider was passing there, and saw somebody raising his hand. And when he went there, he told the border person that he had been force-fed poison, and he was begging to be taken to hospital. And he mentioned a name, but investigators definitely have that in their day. So Father John Minor was murdered. Ruto critics face wrath. And then we also have chaotic 5 hours as EACC raids Natembea's home. Then you have a vehicle that was vandalized by, Natembea's supporters. And then there's a story inside secret police squad trailing ex-deputy President Gachagua. Unit was formed and deployed at the height of the Anti-Finance Bill 2024 protests last June, according to impeccable sources. Now, this is the Nation. The Nation has done the investigations, and they are saying that there is actually that. Government denies regard the elimination plot. Then we have the back page of the Nation. Rebecca Okwaro, from injury to brink of golden boots. Kenya police striker on the verge of claiming top scorer award in 2024-2025 Women's League season. Funding for facilities up in budgetary estimates. Now we have the Standard, ruthless president. That's the headline. Ruthless president. And what we have here is prominent critics of President William Ruto's administration faced a turbulent day yesterday as state agencies appeared to close in. Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya was grilled by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, while Mumias East MP Peter Salasia appeared in court just days after being attacked by unidentified assailants. Meanwhile, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua sensationally claimed that his life was in danger. Then the second page is Suluhu warns foreign activists as Kenyans deported from Tanzania. Kenyans have gone to TZ to try and campaign for Tundu Lissu, who's basically actually facing, he's been arrested, he's in court, and his party has been barred from participating in the election. This is how democracy in Tanzania works, where the president has all say. And you know the strangest thing, once the elections are announced in Tanzania, you cannot go to court. Then Oroba to lose Senate seat after expulsion from the ruling party. Ooh, she's nominated. Gloria Oroba's political troubles have deepened following her expulsion from the United Democratic Alliance, which has also moved to replace her as a nominated senator. UDA Secretary General Omar Hassan announced yesterday that Oroba had been expelled from the party for violating party rules. She had been seen in Matiang'i's convoy in Kisii County. So once, UDA leaders saw her there, they decided, out Neja, vulnerable minors abused online. So please make sure that you know what your kids are watching online. Make sure you know what your kids and you monitor what they are watching online, because you have predators online who are preying on children. Then democracy at risk as critics say state is out to suppress dissenting views. You know something, during the last I really supported President William Ruto, and I remember there was a gentleman whom I'm not going to name. He told me, you guys, you Fred, because I was really an ardent supporter, and it was one of those things that we could probably come into crossroads if you started criticizing him, because I really believed in him. And I remember one guy telling me that, you guys, you're voting this guy. What you don't know is that he will claw back democratic space. And I said, that's not possible. Where Kenya has gotten today, it's not possible. But I must say, there's some democratic space that has been clawed back. But Kenyans will not allow it. That's why you have people who are fighting for the rights of the country. Now, thank God. And President William Ruto says he's a church guy, and I believe he has a conscience, and God will minister to him. I'm not very concerned about that. I'm really not. I just know that this country will be sorted out. Can Kenya break cycle of tainted leadership ahead of crucial 2027 elections? EACC arrests Natembeya over graft claims amid the public outcry and fury. Wow. There's a fire that took place in Mathare slums that claimed 5 lives, and 5 other people were injured. Question of a state night raid on freight farm. Now, this freight farm is owned by Gideon Moi. A night raid on a privately owned container terminal in Mombasa by Kenya Railways Corporation has sparked outrage, with the management describing it as an act of economic sabotage. The raid, carried out at around 3 a.m. on Sunday at Kencott Container Freight Station, has raised serious concerns about the government's respect for the rule of law and protection of private property. Ministry warns budget cuts will shrink Kenya's diplomatic reach. Meru brothers termites dispute end in tragedy. A tragic domestic resulting in the fatal machete attack between 2 brothers. The quarrel, by the way, started over termites and ended with one brother dead and the others severely injured. Now, some of the signs that you can tell that something is wrong in the psyche of the country is when people just lose it like this. Because what happens is, even you, when you're moody and all that, you tend to be snappy. It's the same thing with the psyche of the country. When people are moody, they tend to be snappy, doing very foolish and silly things. At very, you don't need to do much to incite them to that. Well, governors are now pushing back on the universal health coverage payroll transfer. They want it to come to them or what? High Court holds vetting of Ruto's 7 IEBC picks by Parliament. So now with this being halted, and it's been halted until the courts decide, that simply means that it simply means the UHC is going to take longer before it's implemented. And then the back page of the Standard, thumbs up. Kenya Police are almost there in the Premier League. All right, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have discussions about some of the things that are happening in our country with one of our political analysts. Let's take that break.